Otta Helene Zille was born in Hillbrow, Johannesburg, and is the eldest child of German immigrants. She has been known as a journalist, politician, Member of Parliament, Mayor of Cape Town, and is currently the Premier of the Western Cape and leader of South Africa's largest opposition political party. She is very well known to South Africans, often evoking strong reactions, and was voted Best Mayor in the World 2008. This is our conversation. You say people have painted you with a brush on occasions, right?
All kinds of brushes.
How throughout your life, even starting as a child, how have people painted you and perhaps got it wrong or right?
People always get it wrong, you know, but it stopped bothering me years ago. If it bothers you, you mustn't be in politics. It's as simple as that, because you're fair game when you're in politics. Things that other people get mightily upset about, you're supposed to swallow every day, and I do.
Do you have doubts about yourself?
We all do. We're all human, and human beings have doubts. But I can reflect and I can learn from my mistakes. And you know, my public persona is quite erroneously that of Godzilla, you know. This very, very tough person. My sons first started calling me Godzilla when I tried to discipline them. Yeah. So that was their nickname for me every time I said they couldn't do something. And my son once said, well, I'm wondering whether I should vote or not. I think it only encourages politicians, and words to that effect. I mean, they just send me up all the time. They do vote. They wouldn't be able to come into my house if they didn't vote. I don't mind who they vote for, but they definitely have to vote, because it's a fundamental responsibility of every citizen. But I've got a really good and warm relationship with both my children and with my husband, obviously.
You guys don't share each other's surnames. Why is that?
Well, it's interesting, you know. I first decided to go what was fashionable in those days and get the double barrel version, so I was Zille Marie. And then when I was chair of the governing body of the Grove Primary School and took the government to court, and my kids were little, I just felt that all the stuff that I was taking on was beginning to reflect on them and touch them a little bit. And then as I moved into politics, I was determined to drop the Marie so that my children and my husband were sheltered from all the stuff I get up to.
Why did your parents leave Germany?
Because of Hitler. My dad was a conscientious objector. His mother was Jewish, so he would have been right outcast if he hadn't come from a family that was very well known in Berlin. And my mom was a refugee.
Your uncle, an artist, did you ever contemplate going into the arts?
I mean, you know, I can't draw a stick man, and he was also a great photographer, and I can't even take a photo on my cell phone, so that wasn't one of the possible careers for me, definitely not.
Is democracy our best crack at a better world?
The fundamental aspect of all human beings is that we are fallible and make mistakes. So democracy is the only political system built around the assumption that human beings make mistakes and that those mistakes can be corrected by people changing their minds. And that is why, in my view, democracy gives us the best crack at progress.
An open society, what is that exactly?
Well, an open society is a society in which everybody is free to choose their own identity and has the means and the opportunity to become the best they can be.
Isn't that freedom, in one sense, half the story? Because the rest of the story is, how on earth do you then choose?
Freedom is only half the story. The other story is opportunity. And not everybody has equal opportunity, and the role of the state is to try and make sure that more people get more fair opportunities. But, you know, obviously how to choose, that's everybody's dilemma. But, you know, that's the human condition. We have free choice and we have to choose, and we make mistakes, and that's how we learn who we are.
Then what exactly is social cohesion, and why are we struggling with it so much?
It's the feeling that you belong. It's the feeling that you have a place in society that is respected, and that you are valued and you value the society you're in. That's basically what it means.
Sense of belonging. It's a very human thing.
It's a very human thing.
It's not a political thing, it's a very human thing. It starts with a human story.
Absolutely, but it can be promoted by politics and certainly by economics. I mean, the most critical thing for social cohesion is to get a job.
There's a sense in which we need to move beyond ourselves, isn't there? And value other things other than just personal peace and prosperity.
No, but you know, I really believe in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, when you're hungry, that's what you think about. When you're freezing cold, that's what you think about. When you haven't got a roof over your head, that's what you think about. But once you've got those, then you can start thinking about the next thing. And once you feel you belong, you can stop worrying about yourself and start worrying about other people and feel compassion and concern.
Is it true that we suffer under the highest Gini coefficient rate in the world?
No, not at all. The minute you factor in social grants, our Gini coefficient drops quite well, actually, compared to many others. And I think it's not fair to analyse our Gini coefficient without the ubiquitous social grants that 16 million people get. And in fact, interestingly enough, although people like to say the alternative, Cape Town is the least unequal city in South Africa. We're still too unequal, but we've had more economic growth, less unemployment, and we're the least unequal city in South Africa.
What is perhaps the biggest disappointment you've needed to deal with?
I suppose the fact that I never made it into any sports team at school. I was devastated.
That's the biggest disappointment you can...
Well, I'm trying to think. Yeah. I was really trying hell of a hard. I used to make my dad come and take me to school an hour early every morning. He didn't like it very much at all. So I could practice on the tennis wall, so I could try and dribble the hockey ball. I tried for every team, everyone, and I didn't even make the third team.
What was the very earliest political decision you made, either intentionally or unintentionally?
I remember at a time in primary school, there was a decision that the government took to stop school feeding in schools for black African children and to start giving feeding in schools for white children. And my parents were outraged by that. My mother was especially outraged by that. And the next day I went to school and we had a piece of cheese and I think a piece of bread or an apple or something. And remembering my mother's outrage about this, I had to make the political decision as to whether I was going to eat this cheese or not. That I remember very, very clearly. And I kept looking at it and feeling I can't eat this cheese.
Cape Town, it is an amazing place. It's also an officially amazing place. It's been nominated the best city in the world twice in a row, and I think we're enjoying that title right now.
Right now.
Why is that? How can a single city be noted as the best city in the world?
Well, just look out the window.
Okay, there's a beautiful view.
This used to be a terribly run-down harbour. When I came to UCT originally from Johannesburg, this place was a complete mess. It was absolutely terrible. And look at it now.
Yeah.
And that's good management, good planning, good foresight.
Gratitude. Gratitude. What are you most grateful for?
I was most grateful when my children were born that they were healthy. That was an overwhelming sense of gratitude for that. And that I've got a loving family. That's the thing I'm most grateful for. Yeah, I'm grateful for the relationship I have with my boys. I mean, you know, yesterday my eldest son wanted to get something probably from the fridge as usual and came into the house and I was having a big and very important meeting in the lounge and he came in, he said, "Sorry everybody, I just have to say hi to my mom." And then gave me a kiss on the head and walked out, which was so sweet. It's that kind of thing that I'm really grateful for.
5 years, 20 years on your gravestone?
Well, I never plan ahead. I never plan ahead. Life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans, so I just don't plan. I try to live every day properly. I'll try to look at what's happening tomorrow. I don't even know what I'm going to do every day when I wake up. I look at my diary and say, oh, hell that, you know, and then I go. But I didn't say it about this. And so, you know, 5 years from now, we'll see where things take me. You know, I go through doors that open. I work very hard, and then doors open, and then I go through that door, and then the next door opens. That's how my life has unfolded. Gravestone, well, who knows? It might be a bit premature to think of that, but it might not. Who knows? You never know when your last hour's coming. But my mom's 95, her sister's 102, so let's see.
Well, Helen, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Had a great chat. Thanks very much.